Hi, my name is Alisha. I attended the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign for undergrad and UCLA for graduate school. And at Crimson, I am a regional team lead for the US and Canada region and a senior strategy consultant. Very interesting story. So even though my educational background is in the healthcare field, I've actually been working in the education consulting industry for the last 5 years as an independent education consultant, doing very similar work, but independently. So what I love about Crimson is that all of my students have a robust team to support them versus me doing everything independently and not having multiple sets of eyes looking at the application materials. At the core of the work that I do, I like to build very strong relationships with students, understand their passions, their short and long-term goals, and figure out how we can help the students accomplish their goals and also tell a unique story through their application materials. So I guess a typical session, I would do somewhat of a check-in, figure out how their academics and extracurriculars are going, and then at that point we begin strategizing and figuring out what we're going to do to deepen their extracurricular profile. When I'm working with application year students, my sessions are a bit more streamlined because at that point we're working on individual tasks, so working on the activities list, creating a school list, deciding what majors students want to apply to, and things of that such. Students typically have a strategist, a student success manager, application mentor, which will be the point of contact for all things essay related, so your personal statement, your supplements, an ECL mentor, which will help the student develop a strong ECL profile, as well as creating the very special capstone project. And then beyond that, there are other people within the greater Crimson community that don't necessarily have direct communication with the student, but are there to provide support and answer questions. I would definitely say that working with students has always been my passion, like dating back to when I was a child. So even like middle school aged, I was always like reaching back and trying to help like the elementary school kids, and high school, I was like reaching back and helping the middle school kids, and so on and so forth. Both my mother and father are teachers, or retired Chicago public school teachers. And I always actually wanted to be a teacher, but I kind of found myself in the healthcare industry. But since then, I just continue to be involved in different educational programs, more specifically like pre-college programs at UCLA and the University of Illinois. And through building those relationships and helping high school students figure out what the college experience was like, as well as learning about research initiatives and things of that such, my passion for working with students and helping them accomplish their goals really just grew, and I decided I wanted to make a career out of it. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was working with a first-generation college student, and she wasn't very familiar with the college application process, didn't believe in herself, and didn't think that she had what it took to go to university. And we worked on her application materials, did multiple drafts of her essays, created a school list filled with schools that she thought were all reaches. And she ended up getting into the overwhelming majority of the schools that she applied to. And beyond the actual results that she was able to achieve, my favorite part was actually seeing the transformation of confidence, the new skills that she developed, and just how she really held her head up high after working with me and just really developed that self-confidence. One thing that I will say is that Crimson has the Crimson community for their students, but as a strategist, as someone that works for Crimson, we have a really strong community internally. Everyone is more than willing to answer your questions, and if you don't know the answer to a question and someone else doesn't know, they actually will probably do the research for you. So we definitely pour into each other's cups. We rely on each other, whether it be answering a school-specific question or a student-specific question, or just talking about what hook the student is going to have for the application materials. There are just so many valuable resources internally, and if there's ever anything that you need, there's someone at Crimson that knows how to get the job done. Prepare, 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 and also seek help, seek support. So even for families that have done this a couple of times with older siblings, the admissions process, the admissions climate is consistently evolving, and it's so important to have professional help or to seek additional resources to better understand what that process is and to make sure that the application materials are specific to that student. So I would definitely say start off by doing your research. researching independently, as well as working with a strategist to figure out what exactly the student wants to do, figuring out what the best major is for that particular student, or if we need to strategize about what school you apply to with what major and things of that such. But definitely get the ball rolling as quickly as possible, just because it is a very long process, but it's a rewarding process. My advice for a family that's thinking about reaching out to Crimson is to go for it. Have the initial consult and talk with someone internally so that we can really explain the work that we do and how we're able to connect with students and help them accomplish their goals. It's really interesting. I've taught my students a lot of things, and similarly, they've taught me the same things but in a different way. So one thing that I really focus on, especially with my younger students, is executive functioning, organization, time management. And though I teach that with my younger students, a lot of my older students, my very high achieving older students, they've actually taught me really innovative ways to manage my time and be more organized. So I love that it's a give and take, where I can teach one skill to one student, and then that's a different student will teach me a very similar skill, but teaching me that skill in a different way. If you like this video and you want to learn more about colleges and universities, subscribe. And if you want to learn more about Crimson and talk with one of our academic advisors, click the link below.